So today let's explore this nuclear radiation detector made and donated by FNIRSI, and of course there will be some links in the description. And let's remove this rub because it's too shiny. Now it's going to be better visible in the camera. It comes in a very nice box which says radioactive medical equipment testing, marble ore inspection, nuclear industry radioactivity detection, and food metal detection. Is it also a metal detector? I think it's meant to detect radioactive metals. It basically uses Geiger tube to detect the intensity of deionizing radiation, beta particles, gamma rays, and X-rays. It basically processes the pulses from the Geiger tube, and this is how it measures the radiation. And you can set some alarm threshold, the types of radiation, high sensitivity, data is saved during shutdown, high definition LCD, light, vibration and sound alarm, real-time clock, and dose rate and cumulative dose alarm. And some table, here's the size of it, what does it measure, Geiger tube with energy compensation, some ranges, cumulative, energy range, Chinese and English language, the sensitivity 80 counts per minute per microsievert, calibrated using cobalt 60, units 1200 mAh lithium battery, and again the alarm. Looks nice, here is the weight of it, the type number, and this is just in Chinese. And now of course let's open it. I haven't opened it before. And here is, not sure what's this, the manual, and the detector here with some charging cable, a USB-C cable probably, and here's the unit in a nice bag. Let's open it. Looks nice, and then nothing else in the box. Here's the label on it on the back. Here the battery says 1100 mAh and it uses 5 volts for the charging, 500 milliamps. How can I turn it on? It beeps and vibrates, and it looks like there is an LED blinking to indicate the raw pulses from the Geiger tube. The dose rate in microsieverts per hour, the alarm setting, cumulative alarm, the cumulative dose probably, maximum average. Looks interesting. And even some graphic display of the dose rate probably. This really looks nice, with some minimum and maximum indication, and this is rolling and indicating the history of the dose rate basically. So this button seems to switch two modes of a display. This one actually does the same. And should I read the manual? So here is the manual with its Chinese version and then the English version starting from here. Some basic warnings and recommendations. This thing basically is the same as on the box. This table as well. We have already seen it. And then some actual information how to use it. The button description. So the buttons are like enter, back, setting up and down, and the center is power or confirm. Long press to shut down. This one is displayed after you turn it on, and this one they call it waveform monitoring, with the current dose rate, maximum, minimum, and of course the settings of the units, alarm settings, clock, alarm mode, display settings, some unit conversions, calculations, some tables, and that's it, some maintenance. And now let's explore the device. The display still runs, but the backlight is off, probably to save the battery. And these are the two display modes. This is to turn it off, back on. The long press of this one enters the settings, the units, alarm settings, the alarm level. This seems quite intuitive. Cumulative reset. This is basically just a normal clock, date and time. Nothing special about it. Alarm mode. You can turn on the LED during alarm. Shake. It's the vibration basically and the sound. and set the display, the brightness of the display. Lower brightness will probably save the battery, and here seems to be the language setting. Let's set the alarm level, let's say to 1 microsievert per hour, and let's test it on something radioactive. This is the background level, which seems right, about 0.1 microsieverts per hour, or 0.2 at most, should be normal in this area. And let's try some uranium glass here, and it goes up, but it doesn't reach the alarm level. The LED is blinking, of course under my studio lights it's not very visible. Some thorium lantern mantle, of course. And it triggers the alarm. It's beeping and also vibrating. Let's take it away, and the alarm stops. And of course some radioactive watches can't be missing here, triggering the alarm. Now it's over 10 microsieverts per hour. Of course 5 radium watches. Now it goes down. It seems to average over some time. And now it's down to virtually just the background. And I have a strontium-90 test source from some vintage radiation detector, and this one is small, so let's try to find out where is the tube in it. Now on the right side. It's detecting up here, but also down here, but not on the left side. The LED is not blinking now. The display has some delay, but you can see the immediate effect on the LED, which is now blinking virtually just like in the background when this source is on the left side. But it's blinking very quickly when it's on the right side, and it's sensitive from up here all the way to down here. So I guess the tube, the Geiger tube, is actually vertical in it, here on the right side of it. It's sensitive through here. Not much, and from the side of it, not that much either. From the back of it, it's the most sensitive. And this Soviet watch seems to be the most radioactive. I was putting it on the right side and now on the left side, and it's not showing much. And some americium-241 source, which is from a smoke detector, and it's mostly an alpha emitter. And it's detecting it, but it's not meant for alpha radiation, so it might underestimate the dose rate from it. It's not that much sensitive to it. Fragments of a thoriated tungsten cathode of a microwave of a magnetron shows something but not enough for the alarm. And the same applies to these ionizers from Nixie tubes. These are from 4 Nixie tubes for easier neon ignition. And thoriated tungsten welding rods with 4% of thorium probably. And of course the alarm. And of course this thing cannot be missing from the video, there is absolutely no argue on that. Uranium glaze Fiesta ware. But of course now everybody's screaming for the internals, so let's try to open it. It has 4 screws. Well, actually one more under this label. And now it should open. And that's it. And here is the battery in it. 1100 mAh lithium ion, 4.07 watt hours, the date code probably, the voltage 3.7 volts, and the more interesting part is of course this. Here is the Geiger tube. Here is some backup battery, the beeper, the microcontroller, some small components, SMD ones, the crystal for the microcontroller. Here is the battery connection, some inductor, probably in some inverter, some smaller components, capacitors, transistors, 6-pin chips maybe, capacitors, resistors, And here's some bigger capacitors and diodes. I guess this is the multiplier for the tube. These tubes typically require something like 400 volts. Should probably use some booster with the inductor and a multi-stage multiplier with capacitors and diodes. And even a closer look at the board, where the markings should be visible, and here is the multiplier section. And I can see that one terminal of the coil, the inductor, goes to the capacitors. The inductor is definitely the part of the high voltage multiplier, and here are the connectors. The USB-C connector, some button. It might be just a reset button if it freezes or something, and are these some LEDs, probably indicating that it's charging or fully charged, and that's it. And here's the tube, which says 2022-06. It's the date code, probably. Beta, gamma, XR, X-rays, maybe. There's the marking for the positive terminal. Warning, electric shock. Can I measure the voltage on the tube? 273 volts between the terminals. Or should I measure this terminal? Well, now I triggered the alarm. I guess this one is the positive terminal from the power supply, and this one is the negative, which is used as the output for the pulses. It goes into some transistor and then into the microcontroller. Or if I measure the battery negative to this, it's the same voltage. And there is some high resistance resistor in series. Before the resistor, it's 300 volts. Of course, this is a very low current power supply, so loading it with the 10 mega ohm impedance of the multimeter actually lowers the voltage down. And that's the battery, 4 volts. And that's the backup battery. Should we see the other side of the board? Well, when opening it, let's open it properly. And let's take the board out. And let's get some electric shock in the process. Can I take it out? Not breaking the display, of course. And not much here. Looks like a microphone. 5 buttons, couple of resistors here. The LED, and here the display with some backlight on it, and not much else to see. Of course, this is actually the vibration motor. Now, of course, let's put it back together before I break it. The board is back. Is it more sensitive without the cover? Sure it is. About 4 times to this. Also, the sensitivity to the alpha particles increased, but it still underestimates it a lot because this is not a mica window tube. It's just a glass tube and it blocks most of it. And the resistor in series with the tube seems to be 2 mega ohms. Sticking an oscilloscope to the tube with a 100 mega ohm probe. 100 mega ohms shouldn't skew it that much. And I can occasionally see some pulses on it. And here it says 585 volts. So the multimeter was probably loading it down. And when I stick the oscilloscope between the battery negative and the high voltage power supply positive, it shows almost 600 volts. Now I'm basically using the oscilloscope as a voltmeter. So the power supply seems to be producing 600 volts. 100 mega ohms impedance probably doesn't skew it that much. Putting the cap on it, and of course you get way more pulses. And of course a Geiger tube doesn't produce a particular frequency. It just produces the more pulses, the more radiation there is. But the pulses are randomly distributed in time. More radiation basically just gives you more probability of having a pulse. And that's coming from the inductor into the multiplier. About 9 kHz pulses, 180 volts peak. And let's measure the negative of the tube in reference to the battery negative. And of course here the pulses with a lower voltage level. And I guess in the tube the anode is the wire in the center of it, and the cathode is some metallization on the glass. It looks like a rainbow. Some conductive transparent metallization which is connected with the cathode terminal. And of course one more look at the multiplier. And the traces of it are sort of visible now. And of course I'm not removing the protective film on the display. Just this thing. And that's it. And of course in this mode it shows the dose rate history, and when I put something radioactive to it, it sort of changes the scale of it automatically. It seems to work nicely. It just has some delay to it, but it of course has to count the pulses over some time. Maybe it could shorten the averaging time window when the dose rate is high, I don't know. And it can also measure in counts per second or counts per minute. This probably gives you more resolution than counts per second. Let's try counts per second. Not much resolution now. Is the update faster? It's actually updating faster now, but still slower for the purpose of the alarm. And millirangens per hour. And the minimum and maximum is still in microsieverts per hour. And millirangens per hour basically give you 1 digit less resolution. And micrograys per hour. It seems to numerically show the same as microsieverts per hour. So it's basically pushing the maximum reading with it. And now the battery is probably empty. I left it running for several hours, and now we will try to charge it. Let's plug it in. There is a red LED, and when I turn it on, here it indicates it's charging. And it charges at about 500 or almost 600 milliamps. But about 500 milliamps when it's off. So I guess 500 milliamps goes into the battery charging and about 80 or 90 milliamps for the operation of the meter. Or probably about 50 or 60 milliamps after the backlight turns off, or actually goes very dim. 1 hour 45 minutes, the charging current is now lower. And after 2 hours of charging, the LED went green and now it draws just about 60 milliamps, and this is probably the consumption when the display is dim, and when it's bright, about 90 milliamps. Let's try to measure the current draw using my clamp meter. About 100 milliamps with the display at maximum brightness. And the display goes automatically very dim after about 4 minutes, and then it draws about 72 milliamps. So the battery should last about 15 hours. And I will measure how long does it actually run on the battery and put it in the description. And big thanks to Fnirsi for this donation, and also big thanks to all of you who support me on Patreon or using the thanks button. And I also plan to explore this wall scanner or wall detector from Fnirsi.